China. Its economy has grown faster than any in the history of the world and is either number one or number two to the United States, depending on how you measure it, according to Graham Allison of Harvard.
China is not just a rising power. China has risen. China is now seriously rivaling the U.S. in virtually every domain.
But despite all the progress made, there are questions about whether China can continue its economic miracle, at least at the same pace. Economic numbers have been coming in weaker than expected.
We're not going to see China go back to where it was. It's a very big component of the global economy.
Raising some doubts from Michelle Lamb of Societe Generale about whether China can grow at the 5% pace it set for itself this year.
There's downside risk, and I think that primarily comes from the property sector.
And hopes of government stimulus to keep things going are not as bright as they might have been because of all that debt.
Talking about China's debt situation, I think it's a long-standing structural issue, and it's no surprise that China is facing a very big debt problem. And that's precisely one of the reasons we don't see very aggressive stimulus coming from China.
On top of all the internal issues, China also confronts a United States imposing new restrictions on trade and investment, whether it's export controls on shipments of technology to China, or those limits on outbound investment into China President Biden announced this week.
The goal of this executive order is to make sure that we're limiting the ability of financial flows and the know-how that often goes alongside those financial flows to give countries of concern the ability to get around the things that we're trying to prevent them from getting access to, like the most advanced semiconductors.
Leaving investors to grapple with what to do and not do with an economy simply too big to ignore.
You can't rule out China. Since I started to go to China, 1984, per capita income increased by 28 times. It's a power, and it's a smart power.